Alright. What is your full name?
My full name is Demetrius Hardy. My name when I was little girl was Demetrius Brown.
Why did your parents select this name for you?
My mother had a friend, his name was Demetrius. And by the time she had me, she already had 6 kids. So that's why she chose Demetrius for me.
Do you have a nickname?
Everybody calls me Mickey.
When and where were you born?
I was born in Chicago on the far southeast side.
How did your parents come to live there?
My mother came from Mississippi. She had aunts and she had brothers who had already migrated to Chicago from Mississippi. And so she decided she would have a better way of life if she moved to Chicago. And my dad, his mom lived on the southeast side of Chicago, so they met, and that's how they started living on the far east side of Chicago.
Were there other family members in this area?
I had quite a few family members in this area. My mom has 9 sisters and brothers, and she has aunts. We had a big church that we went to on the southeast side. So that's, yeah, quite a few.
What was the house, apartment, farm, etc. like? How many rooms and bedrooms?
I don't remember, but I do know that I was born in a house instead of in a hospital because my mom, she had her children at home back then. And I know it was a big house because we used to visit my grandmother who still lived there. So I think it was like 3 bedrooms and a kitchen and a living room. So.
What were the special items in the house that you remember?
Well, I don't remember the house I was born in, but the house that I grew up in, I remember that it was on the 2nd floor of a great big building that had 2 apartments downstairs and 2 apartments upstairs. And what was so odd about it was the bathrooms were in the hallway. So that, I thought that was kind of special thing. And it was a church on the 1st floor of the apartment and a resale store on the 1st floor of the building. So, yeah, that was kind of special.
What is your earliest childhood memory?
Having a lot of sisters and brothers, and having sisters just a year older than me and a year younger than me, and 5 sisters a year younger than me, and having a lot of playmates. And having a really great time playing with my younger sisters.
What kind of games did you play with growing up?
Oh, we had a lot of games. We played red light, green light. We played rock teacher. We jumped rope, and we played mud pies. That was my favorite thing to do because we really were elaborate with our mud pies. And we played with weeds, and we used them for vegetables. So, and we had a pogo stick, and we did pogo, yeah. We really used to enjoy doing that a lot. Yeah, I played a lot when I was a little kid.
What was your favorite toy and why?
Well, once when I was like your age, 10 years old, my mom had bought me a sewing box with a little toy sewing machine, and my mother, she knew how to sew. She was a seamstress. That's what she did. She made all of our clothes when we were little kids. And so I really enjoyed that toy. That was my favorite toy as a kid, learning how to sew and playing with my sewing machine and my sewing box.
What was your favorite thing to do for fun?
That was my favorite thing to do, play with my sisters and brothers. Yeah.
Did you have family chores? What were they? Which was your least favorite?
Well, back in the day when I was a little kid, you had quite a few chores, especially if you had a big house like that, because there was a lot of cleaning up to do. My least favorite thing to do, I want to say, was washing, because we didn't have a washing machine like the ones now. We had the wringer type, so you put the clothes in, and you would have to scrub them by hand, and then you would have to wring them through a hand wringer, which was horrible. I thought that was, and then we had so many clothes because there was so many of us kids. And then my dad, he did construction, so his clothes were always dirty, and there was so many dirty beds to clean, and washing laundry was my least favorite thing to do. I absolutely hated it.
Did you receive an allowance, and how much was it? And did you save your money for spending?
I didn't receive an allowance because my family was very poor, but I did earn a lot of money, which I thought was a lot of money back then because I worked for the neighbors. I would do the neighbors' laundry and babysit their children. Even at an early age, when I was like 10, I was always taking care of babies because ladies had a lot of babies back then, and if you were a responsible little girl, then you could make money being a babysitter. And me and my sisters, we had a reputation of doing outstanding job as far as cleaning other people's houses and babysitting. And so I earned money like that, and I saved my money because you weren't really allowed to just irresponsibly spend your money on anything. So my one sister and I, we would save our money, and at Christmas time we were able to buy gifts for people at Christmas. We would make like 35 cents a week, and we thought it was a lot of money, 50 cents a week. And by the time Christmas came, we thought we had a ton of money. So yeah, we saved our money quite well.
What was school like for you?
I wasn't a really smart student, but I was a hard-working student. In school, when I was a little girl, you weren't allowed to be ill-mannered. Your manners had to be on point all the time because teachers back in the day were allowed to use a ruler to hit your hand if you were a bad girl. And then you would be sent to the main teacher that did that if you were outspoken in class. So I was a really good girl in class because I did not want to get hit on the hand. And you didn't want your mom to ever have to come to school because then you get hit on the hand or whooped twice. So I was a good girl in school. Yep, and school was fun. Because you would have a recess period that lasts for like a half an hour, and you would go to recess. So that was fun. You'd go to play jump rope or something like that with your friends, and then we also had a lunch period, which was an hour, and you went home for lunch. So we would all run home at lunchtime and come back. I just really enjoyed school a lot.
What school activities and sports did you participate in?
When I was in grammar school, there wasn't a whole lot of sports in grammar school other than the group activity. But in high school, I was very active in sports. I played basketball. I was on the Girls Athletic Association. I did some cheering. I was a very active little girl, teenage girl. And I enjoyed high school so much because I went to a really fun high school.
Do you remember any fads from your youth, hairstyles, clothes?
Oh yeah, I went to high school in the 60s and in the early 70s. So in the 60s we had the go-go boots and the bell-bottom pants with the wide belts, and we had the afros. I like afros so much I still kind of wear it now, and and the pom-poms that we used to wear on the side of our heads. So it was a lot of that's when a lot of fads were. I had the peace sign clothing and the empire dresses, and the beads. So yeah.
Who were your childhood heroes?
Let me see. Well, I was lucky. I grew up at a time when there were a lot of when black people were really coming to age as far as getting a lot more independence. So I had a lot of idols. I was very fond of like Angela Davis. She was for women's rights and for civil rights, so I admired her a lot. And then Martin Luther King was, he was still alive when I was a kid. So we always watched the news for whatever was going on with that. So he was a hero. And Angela Davis was a hero. And Malcolm X was heroes. So we had a lot of idols and heroes to look up to. Yeah.
What were your favorite songs in music?
I was one of these people who enjoyed all types of music. I liked all of the Motown stuff. I liked country western music. I liked, let me see, what other kind of music I like? I enjoyed so many different types of music. So, yep. So mostly Motown. I listened to a lot of Motown when I was a kid.
Did you have any pets?
Yep. In my house, we had a dog who lived quite a few years. She was a Cocker Spaniel. She was black and she had a beautiful white underbody. Her name was Beauty, and she was really smart, and she loved us and we loved her. She met us. She watched us go to school every day, and she met us on the corner when it was time for us to come home from school. And then my older brother, he had a lot of pets because he was really into animals. So we had parakeets, and we had them for a long time. They were called Tweety and Perry. And we had them too long because they got, I bet you we had them maybe 20 years. And they were always in a cage, and they laid eggs a couple of times. They never had their eggs never hatched, but yeah, we had parakeets and we had dogs. Never had cats though. Don't like cats.
Were you ever mentioned in a newspaper?
Let me see. I don't ever remember being mentioned in the newspaper.
Who were your friends growing up?
Well, my sisters were my main friends because I had a lot of sisters. I had 8 sisters. And then I had a lot of first cousins because my aunts and uncles also had a lot of kids. And we went to church on Sunday, so most of my friends were my cousins who were my age. And we saw them every Sunday at church. And then I had one childhood friend. Her name was Beanie. And she lived on the block with us. So, yeah, that was my best friend.
What is the one thing you must want people to remember about you?
That I was, now that I'm older, that I was a good grandma. That's what I want people to remember most about me.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Let me see. So it's, gosh, 13 minutes. Oh, you're still recording though.